What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And guys, let's talk about gold. We haven't talked about gold in a while, so let's talk about it. I get questions, a lot of questions about gold, whether you can trade it, how we trade it or whatnot. And to answer your question, yes, you can trade gold like every other currency pair, how we trade it. Yes. It's definitely a little bit different, obviously, because the pit value is so high, and you got to use way bigger stop losses because of the volatility of gold. Just look at what happened today. Today we had CPI news at 8:30, and that ran up real quick in like seconds. So let's talk about it, because there was a trade setup that I took on gold today. And the crazy thing about it was the fact that I forgot that we had CPI news today. I wasn't aware. I forgot to check news. So if I would have known that there was news, I would not have taken the trade. But let's take a look at the trade setup here, because it still was a good trade setup. It met all my requirements and all that stuff for a trade setup. So it was good. But when it comes to trading in the middle of news, I just don't like to do it. I just think it's too risky, and I'm not there for taking that much of a risk. But let's talk about it. So first things first, we're coming off of a reset here, so we're looking for buys only, right? I'm only looking for buys. So if we go down to the 15-minute chart, let's go ahead and turn everything on here. And what's the setup here? So the setup itself was during the London session, and it was a type 2 setup that was pinning to the 200 EMA. Okay, so that's the setup itself. We have price came all the way back down, back into structure right here to the left. We get a first leg, and then we ended up getting a second leg right here, right about 6:15 or so. Towards the end of the first 4 hours of the London session. So for me, the setup was a type 2 first, second leg here, and the second leg gave me a star pattern here, which I ended up liking those on the second leg, and we ended up also getting a small pullback. So for me, the entry on this particular trade setup was 1824 225. 1824 225 was the entry for me. Okay, so right around there actually. So once we got that entry, the stop loss, I didn't want to put the stop loss at 1822 because that's just an even number, and everybody has their stupid stop losses there. So I typically like to put my stop loss a little bit below. And in this case, it was 1821 800 was my stop loss on this. Typically, the stop losses that I use on gold are much higher because of the pip value is a lot higher. And also, I have to think about the fact of how long am I willing to hold on to the trade. If you're going to hold on to trades longer than a day, then, for me, I find it a lot easier to have targets of over, 120, 200 pips on gold, which are completely doable because of the volatility and the pip value of gold. But for me today, I just wanted to do a quick trade that would give me a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, because I wanted to go back to the top here, back to structure. That's all I wanted price action to do. And so I was only aiming for 3-to-1. Basically, the top of the Asian range was my target. And so that's what the trade setup looked like. Now, again, I had no idea that CPI news was dropping at 8:30, or else I would not have taken the trade. But the trade ended up playing out fine, obviously, and I got taken out pretty quickly on my take profit. And I mean, this thing ran for a while, and so you could see the huge move, huge run up that it made. I mean, this thing made, look at that. It made a 437 pip move. Ridiculous. Almost, it's a 19, it would have been a 19-to-1 trade on the risk reward ratio. That is like stupid, right? But no. 3-to-1 trade set up for me. I missed the rest of it, which I don't care, because the trade that I wanted happened and ended up working out in my favor. Now, on gold itself is pretty interesting because if we go up to the higher time frame, we can see that gold just broke 1830. 1830 was an important structure point that we were talking about during our group session last Sunday, before the beginning of the week that we do for FXN Plus and in our mentoring students, and we talked about 1830 being the target. But you could see here the reaction that we had. We literally just bulldozed right through that. So the question becomes, what happens next, right? What happens next? So for me, I believe that the next target for gold should be around 1900, between 1900 and 1920. If we turn everything back on here, you'll see the little, this is the range here that I'm looking at. And specifically, I'm looking at the top of these candles here and basically all the way up to the wick. So that's why I say around 1920 or so, and then to about 1900. That area is where I would where I would expect gold to want to go to. Okay. Now, how do we get there, right? So the obvious thing for me, for gold to get to those areas, is for me they would have to come back and retest 1830, right? So do a move essentially like, do something like this where you come back, you retest that 1830, and then you can go. Okay. So something of that nature is what I would be expecting. And 1830 is, right around here. So retest this and then get a buy set up and then take that to 1900 or 1920, wherever it's going to go. Now, I don't know if it'll happen this week though. I do think that we have 2 more days left. So I think we could have the structure set up for a retracement, and then maybe next week we could have that move. I don't know. We'll just wait and find out. But that's what I believe. That's what I'm expecting to happen on gold for this. There was another trade setup that I took that was NZD USD, also in London, and it was a Type 3 setup. One of my favorite setups here. We had everything. We're coming off a peak formation high up here, so I'm only looking for sell setups anyways. And we ended up getting a nice Type 3 setup here in the middle of London. If we go back, you can see we have the TDI bouncing off the 50 here, and price action comes from the bottom, hits the middle, tags the 50 EMA. That's a good confirmation right there. So we have the pattern, we have it tagging the 50, we have the timing obviously because it's in the London box, we have the TDI, we have the directional buy. So everything is basically in our direction with all of our confirmations. So the trade setup was pretty simple. After this particular pattern here, after this railroad track here, the next candle, the beginning of the next candle was the entry, and then the stop loss obviously goes above the two highs here. Again, we're just going 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and that's it. We don't have the EMAs to help us or in our favor to go to take profit. So ideally, I would have liked it. It did end up going right to structure down here to retest that structure, but that had a huge pullback to go with it as well. So you could have also traded this as a multi-session type 3 or a continuation trade in the US session as well, because it basically just came back and retested the middle and it gave you another pattern right here to trade off of, another star pattern to trade, and the entry would have been here as well. So your entry would have been right here, your stop loss is there, and then you're just riding it right back down to previous week's low, which is a structure that you would wanted it to go to anyways, you know. But for me, since I took it during London, I just want 2 to 1. I don't care about anything else. So 2 to 1 risk reward ratio, it came out to be about 20. I believe it was like 20 some pips, 25 pips or something like that. So it was a good trade setup. 2 trades, that's it. Nothing crazy. On the other pairs, I really didn't see anything that was, that caught my eye, that was in my directional bias or anything like that. So I just left it alone. And those were the only 2 trades. Okay. So that was it. It's a quick, easy day. A very lucky day on gold. Again, I can't stress how lucky that was on gold. But it is what it is. Sometimes you get them, sometimes they don't work out in your favor, and that's all right. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope it brought you some value. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what pairs did you take today? What pairs did you trade? Did you catch the gold trade at all? Were you aware of CPI news, or were you even aware that CPI news had that much of an impact on gold, or was going to have that much of an impact on gold? I sure did not think that was going to have that much of an impact on gold, but surely I was wrong. Guys, if you need any more help, let us know. Join us on FXM Plus. We have our new mentoring class sign up. It is now available on the website. So for those of you that were asking for the last 2 months, when is the next class? Go to our website. The links is in the description, and you can sign up for that particular class. Thank you so much, guys. Be safe trading the rest of the week. Have a good one.